Talked to Jim Knowles today, Monday, after Ohio State football practice. Kind of the last time we're going to get the defensive coordinator before Ohio State gets its season going next week, building towards the opener against Indiana. And we've been following a number of position battles, a number of young players developing throughout camp. So, Stephen, what was something you learned today from Knowles after all these weeks that you feel sort of solidified something you now know about this defense for the fall?
I think C.J. Hicks is a starting jack. I just don't know how much they're going to use it because, first of all, he's talked about Mitchell Melton in the jack position since he got here, but Mitchell has just been hurt, dealing with injuries, so he never got to do it. But the way he was talking about Mitchell today, and, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he used Cody Simon as an example with it, of making sure you're maximizing guys in the right spot. It seems like Mitchell Melton is probably best suited with just putting his hand in the dirt. And me in the defensive end, as a guy who's been moved back and forth from the linebacker and defensive line room since he got here, and let him focus on that, while C.J. Hicks' skill set as a five-star talent probably just fits that jack position best. So if you let Mitchell Melton just be a defensive lineman and C.J. Hicks this year can worry about the jack, cool. The question is, how much are we going to see the jack? Because we've also heard so much about the defensive line, whether it's JT Tuimoloau talking about how his first step is quicker, or him saying Jack Sawyer, who's been the Silver Bullet of the day the last 2 days, has vaulted himself into being a dominant player over the last couple of days here. Then you've got Kenyatta Jackson, where it's gone from this is JT and Jack to it's JT, it's Jack, and it's Kenyatta Jackson. And Caden Curry has just been making plays. Your four deep at defensive end. And Larry Johnson, he doesn't really – I'm not going to say he doesn't like the jack, but he doesn't love it.
I think I'd say he doesn't like it.
Okay, cool. He
likes Jack Sawyer, doesn't like the Jack.
That's true. So
he may also like Jack in the Box. I haven't actually had Jack in the Box. Is it good? Good?
It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. It's nothing special. But I think that the combination of – it sounds like the defensive line might be dominant this year. We'll see on game day because we've been hearing that for years and we haven't seen it. Maybe that's actually true this year. Do you need C.J. Hicks to play 50 snaps at jack? Or can you just use it sparingly, 15 snaps a game, where C.J. has a role, it's just not as big as maybe you thought the jack would be in year two, because it doesn't have to be.
Andrew, something you heard from Jim Knowles today that clarified how you're expecting this defense to look on September 2nd.
Yeah, it sounds like Jim Knowles is also driving the Sonny Styles bus, right?
Harder than you drove.
Yeah, he's harder. Yeah, yeah.
Well, Jim Knowles actually has the ability to name him the starting safety, which he did today.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, he is also driving the bus faster and farther than I was ever prepared to take it. The question was about the, two safety spots and, hey, how do you see that position? And he was like, well, Sonny's a starter. And he just immediately came out and said it like, we need to get that guy on the field. That guy's going to play a lot. And we have talked about this since I came onto the beat in mid-July. Like, we have talked about this at camp. We've talked about this in press conferences. We've talked about this everywhere. Players have talked about this, offense and defensive players. This sounds like a player who is ready to be unleashed by Jim Knowles. And there's just so much evidence now that something special is coming with Sonny Styles. So I think you have to be all in on him having a really, really good year for the Buckeyes. So, yeah, I mean, that was that. You knew going in, like, this guy is going to play a lot. How are they going to use him? What? And I think those questions still do kind of persist a little bit. All right, in what situations can he be varied? But any doubt that this guy's going to be on the field for damn near 100% of the important snaps, that's gone. He is going to be on the field whenever Ohio State needs a defensive stop. And, I mean, Jim Knowles was pretty emphatic when he said that.
So I asked Jim Knowles today, because last year, very famously, he came in the winter and said, I want three guys in the back. I want, my back seven, my back six to be set. And then this year, they've definitely been pulling back from that and been much more open to having a more versatile, more multiple arrangement in the back. Jordan Hancock was an example I brought up to him. He's working at both corner and the nickel safety position. And Knowles said that they are just trying to get the best 11 guys out there on any given play. I think we're probably going to see more matchup than we did last year, more schemes where they're trying to match up to the opposing personnel. Not that they didn't do it at all last year, but I kind of get the impression that they're going to do it a lot more. And whether that is what we've talked about with C.J. Hicks and where he could fit into this defense from time to time, whether it's where Sonny Styles is going to line up on a given play, and certainly where they're talking about maybe trying to have 3 cornerbacks on the field. That's something I'm looking forward to against Indiana, is how many times do they take 3 guys who we identify as cornerbacks and put them on the field at the same time? Because I don't think it's going to be 0. That might not be the best, actually, example of when we'll see that. I think Western Kentucky will be a better example of that. They get a really good quarterback coming back, and they're probably going to throw the ball a lot. So maybe that'll be the week where we get a better answer on that. But I think it's probably refreshing, I think, if you're an Ohio State fan, to hear them be a little bit more open to that, because there's always just talent under the folds here at Ohio State that you can find a way to get on the field in a specialty situation and maybe make a difference for you. More talk about that on Buckeye Talk, wherever you can find podcasts, and get the text 614-350-3315.